I just want to get into this because it just brought me back to like our fan base. And did you see that when DB came back and played for us, that they got mad that our fan base was booing her? Can I give you...
Sophie Cunningham just broke the WNBA's media playbook, and she didn't even mean to. What started as a simple podcast chat about DeWanna Bonner's messy exit turned into something way bigger. She skipped ESPN, skipped The Athletic, went straight to fans, and got more engagement than most sports journalists get in a month. For decades, traditional media controlled WNBA storylines. Sophie just proved those walls are paper thin. One episode exposed the system's weakness, and now major sports outlets are scrambling to sign players before they lose control completely. Her secret? No gatekeepers, no filters, just competitive, unfiltered, authentic talk that fans actually connect with. And the numbers? 1.6 million TikTok followers, 1.1 million on Instagram. That's more influence than most WNBA media combined. This isn't just a story about Bonner. It's the start of a whole new sports media era, and Sophie lit the fuse.
Yeah. And I like DB because like DB was one of my vets when I was in Phoenix, and then we gathered here into Indiana, and like it was kind of a surprise that she was signed to Indiana anyway, and so we'll take her in a heartbeat. Like she's a Hall of Famer, she's a hell of a basketball player, can score from anywhere on the court. But she got to Indiana and she just like really wasn't happy. And like I want people to be happy. So that's why I'm kind of like neutral on this one, which a lot of people are surprised about. She's towards the end of her career. So like she deserves her flowers. She deserves to be happy. But I also think that if you're going to leave.
Was there explanation when it happened? No. Not even privately? Yeah, I mean, okay. That's tough. And yeah, okay. Well, I did say unless you leave on some fuck you type shit, and that's what that is, so.
Yeah. I'm still rooting for her. Like, I want her to end her career and be happy, but I also think that, like, it's okay to be professional about it and, like, send a text to your teammates. Send a text and be like, hey, like, love you guys, or you don't even have to say love you guys, just like, hey, sorry this didn't work out, good luck, da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way to handle that.
Moment right there, that's when everything changed. Sophie Cunningham didn't go through ESPN. She didn't call The Athletic. She didn't even tease it on social media. She sat down on Show Me Something and dropped a truth bomb that completely reframed the DeWanna Bonner story. No editors. No filters. No corporate spin. Just raw truth straight to the audience. For years, inside locker room info had to pass through media gatekeepers. A player might whisper to a beat writer, who'd wrap it in corporate language before publishing. The media controlled the story, the framing, the impact. Sophie said, screw that, and told it herself with more credibility than any outsider because she lived it. Here's what almost everyone missed. Sophie's podcast isn't just independent. It's backed by the volume Colin Cowherd's media empire. That's the first major crossover between WNBA player content and mainstream sports infrastructure. Cowherd didn't sign Sophie to be nice. To the WNBA, he saw the business opportunity ESPN ignored. Authentic player voices get insane engagement when given the right platform. This proves WNBA players don't need niche basketball outlets anymore. They can go straight into the mainstream sports entertainment machine and reach audiences traditional coverage can't touch. Now, sports media companies are scrambling to sign WNBA players because Sophie proved fans want unfiltered, authentic voices over polished corporate messaging every time. And she's not afraid to break the sport's unspoken rules like never criticizing veterans or exposing locker room drama. Sophie shared the truth about Bonner's exit because it was real, not because it was safe. That's exactly what new fans crave and exactly what the old guard is terrified of. That fiery...
Literally, like, pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Defense of Caitlin Clark? That was Sophie Cunningham talking straight to the fans traditional WNBA media has been pushing away for months. While journalists were publishing cautious, balanced takes, Sophie called the Clark deniers dumb and meant it. That wasn't just honest. It was tactical. She targeted the league's biggest, most passionate new audience and spoke their language. The result? Her engagement numbers spiked, proving expansion beats gatekeeping every time. The old media model tells athletes to speak in safe, corporate sound bites so journalists can interpret for the audience. Sophie kills that need entirely. She says what she means directly. Fans don't need a middleman. That's an existential threat to sports media. The old system was built on access scarcity. Journalists had the connections and the platforms. Sophie just proved that scarcity was fake. Now, fans want the same authenticity from other players, and the carefully crafted PR statements of the past are starting to look corporate and fake. Other players see Sophie's numbers and are asking, why not go direct? Here's my prediction. Within 6 months, 3 to 5 major WNBA players will launch their own unfiltered podcasts. Media companies know it's coming, which is why they're scrambling to lock down athletes with exclusive deals before players realize they don't need them at all. Sophie didn't just break the WNBA media system. She exposed how flimsy it's always been. And she flipped the equation. Player voices with direct fan access are now more valuable than corporate messaging could ever be. Traditional WNBA media has been missing one thing for years: real sports culture. They've been sanitizing a game built on competition and emotion.
I think there's two different types of players, though, that, like, some people can take a boo, and other players, kind of like me, which, like, fans are dumb, but that like, shit hypes me up. Like, I'm all for that. Like, if you give me that energy, then I want some, like, fuck you energy. But, like, that's what makes sports so good, too, is, like, just the competitiveness and, like, people hating each other, but also, like, this sport is bringing everyone together. Like, I don't know.
Sophie Cunningham speaks the language serious fans understand: conflict, passion, and honesty. While the old guard hid behind a no one gets criticized narrative, Sophie proved fans actually want controversy and sincerity. She turned conflict into content and criticism into credibility. Now, her success is about to change WNBA business forever. Players are realizing their independent market value. Why accept social media restrictions or stick to approved statements when you can reach 1.66 million people directly and generate massive engagement by speaking your mind? The power dynamic has flipped. Smart media companies are already building models that respect player agency. Others will cling to access journalism and hope teams pressure players to keep the old ties. But here's the truth. Authentic player voices with direct audience access will always outperform corporate filtered messaging, and Sophie's influence isn't tied to her stats. She's a role player who built a platform bigger than most stars. That's revolutionary. Any player, regardless of on-court performance, can follow her blueprint. The Bonner controversy was just the spark. The real story is how Sophie showed athletes a better way to connect with fans: unfiltered, direct, and authentic. Traditional media spent decades convincing everyone athletes needed them to translate their thoughts. Sophie cut out the interpreter. We're witnessing the birth of athlete-controlled sports media. The outlets that adapt will survive by partnering with players. The ones that cling to gatekeeping will fade into irrelevance. The old WNBA media system is already dead. It just doesn't know it yet. The revolution isn't coming. It's here. The gatekeepers had their run. Now it's the players.